Welcome everybody. Today's video finds us over here in Ayutthaya, and we're going to take a look at an old historic temple over here that's been partially restored. We're going to take a look at Wat Samana Kottharam, I think is how you say it. Anyway, this is an old temple. They don't know exactly when it was built. There's some accounts about the reign of King Narai and King Petracha that talk about this temple in some of the old royal chronicles. But anyway, there's some ties back to the Ayodaya era also, which is the old, before Ayutthaya was the capital. This settlement out here was known as Ayodaya, which dates back to the Dvaravati and the Khmer, whenever the Khmer had a stronghold in this area. There's not a whole lot to see. There's a restored hall with an old Buddha in it, and it has kind of the base of a unique temple in this area that's based off of probably one that was up in Chiang Mai for whenever the Ayutthaya forces attacked Chiang Mai under the reign of King Narasawan. So anyway, let's go through here and let's see what we see today. And they're blaring some loud music, advertising something. Always some loud music in Thailand. So this is the old part of the ruins here, and we'll walk through it, and then we'll go over here and we'll look at this chedi and this old ordination hall that has been restored. So we'll look at the ruins first. Yeah, they haven't restored much of this at all. These halls are just down to the base. You can see the pillars and stuff like that would have been here, that would have supported the roof, and they would have had some small chedis. And this one here is the unique chedi, and this one is based off of one in Chiang Mai. Apparently the forces of Ayutthaya went up and attacked the old city, and the guy that was leading the attack was impressed by the chedi, and so whenever he had this temple restored, he restored it with that chedi. And they think it's like late Ayutthaya styling, and it would have been Khmer-influenced. At the top of the spire is completely missing. You can see a little bit of the redented corners, and you have a staircase that goes up, and then the spire and everything else is completely missing. The base of it is 17.5 meters by 20 meters. And they actually say that this would have been more of an early Ayutthaya styling. So there's a little data plate here talking about it. And so you can go up on it. So the whole top of it above the relic chamber is missing. This would have been the relic chamber here. And you can see they used the large bricks on the base of this. We walk up in here. Stairs are not much left of them, but we should be able to see up in here. Looks like some of the locals came and have put like a little tiny Buddha right there. Yeah, there would have been probably like a little miniature chedi right here in this relic chamber, and then the spire would have went up above it. It would have been quite amazing to see whenever it was new. And you would have climbed up these steps from the east, and you would have came out of that humongous Wehan that's right over there, and we'll look at it next. And it had a little platform up here also that you would have been able to walk around, and there would have probably been a rail up here. You can see these tiles are all new. That was part of the restoration. And then here's a little bit of the top of the spire. Whenever it fell off, they have it over here. And then you can see there's some laterite stones there. So that would definitely point to the Ayodaya era when they used laterite stones for the construction. And a smaller little chedi over here. And just a couple odds and ends, another one over there. But you can see how they would have had it styled here. This is the plaster work that would have been on all the corners. Yeah, I really like the styling of these old chedis like this. You can see how much that plaster would have been right underneath where that rail would have been. And then they would have had some other smaller little chedis all around here. They just have a couple bricks down showing where they were. And then this chedi here would have been a bell-shaped. And it would have had the little floral patterns right there, and it would have went up to a spire. And then right here in front of it is all the pieces of it. And it's kind of cool. You can see here how they incorporated laterite stones and the more modern bricks that the Ayutthaya used. So they would have scavenged these out of some of the other construction. You can see over here a little bit of the styling of how this would have been constructed. So you can see right there, those would have been like those little mini corners that they would have had built on it. Would have been kind of cool to see. But there's not much of it left anymore, same as this chedi over here. All right, let's look at this big hall, and then we'll go look at the restored building, which is kind of the highlight of this temple. I really like it. You can see the base of another chedi over here, and you can see how they built it, how they used those course of brick to kind of come from the inside out. Would have saved them some space. Now this in here is a humongous Wihan. It was 14 meters by 38 meters, and it used to have a sandstone Buddha image right there that was in the subduing Mara. This one is a new Buddha, but the old one is kind of over here. Now you can see the base of it was just like all the rest of the Ayutthaya buildings, and then they would have had the walls in here, and it would have had the little walkway around it, it looks like. And this would have been the back porch, and then this is what's left of the image. You can see a couple pieces of it over there that are really large chunks of the sandstone, and it's just all collapsed down. And then this is all the small little images that would have been all around it. You can see some hands and various pieces of it. Oh, it's a shame that that huge sandstone Buddha is just in rubble. You can see a little bit of the altar that's remaining here. You can see the little floral patterns right here of that's still remaining in the plaster. But unfortunately, this is just down to the base. You can see the humongous column. And then these would have been where those smaller images would have been sitting on some small little pedestals all around the huge one. And you can see there would have been the columns to support the roof. And it would have been a really, really big image. Now there's some accounts from the reign of King Petracha about this temple. That was the first ones written in the Royal Chronicles. He came to this temple whenever his wet nurse died. And so they came over here for that ceremony. And then there's another account from another temple, Wat Samana Kottharam, where a monk was involved in like a family dispute, and he lit himself on fire, and he burned his body, and then it kind of charted and kind of, his body was still there. And so they covered it in plaster and made an image out of it. And his body was then, after it was made into an image, was brought and put on the altar. You can see over here the remains of a few other chedis, and then the houses and stuff like that are all around it. And there's just debris kind of scattered out amongst all the trees here. And you can see this hall, how large it was. You got a little dog running around over there and some more little chedis. So this was a pretty good sized temple back in the day. Just the size of that ordination hall shows that it was quite large. And they have a little shrine that they've came back in. And that chedi would have been really, really amazing to see. You can see just the base of it, but it's still really a nice design. Okay, let's go look at the big bell chedi that's right behind here, and we'll look at that hall. And there's a shrine of King Taksin back there also that we'll probably look at that last. And you can see those laterite stones that we saw from up above. So this area here probably had human settlement at least around the 6th century up until now. So there's been people here for a long, long time. It looks like kind of a pile of the old tiles and stuff like that, and an old Bodhi tree over there. But you can see this bell-shaped chedi right here. And the top of the spire is just missing, but most of it is still intact. You can see you got some trees growing there. Yeah, you can see the chedi is on a square base with the 3 levels, and that would have represented, heaven, hell, and the earthly realm. And then you can't really see, but there's quite a bit of styling left right there. Those trees have kind of overtaken it. So they'll get some guys over there one of these days to kind of go and clear this off. And then here is the restored hall. Yeah, this is really a nice building. So what they've done is they've came back in and they built on the base. So the base would have been the old part, and then they restored the top exactly like it would have looked back whenever it was new, and they built it on the same footprint, which I really like when they do that. And they've left it kind of bare so you can kind of see the bones of it, and then it would have been right here on the west side of this chedi. Now they think the chedi was built on a Sukhothai like footprint, and they built it at exactly the same size as the original chedi. And this is an ordination hall. You can see the little Buasima stones here, and this is an active temple, so we'll have the monks inside here, and you can see the plaster work there with going up to that floral pattern. Yeah, really cool. Yeah, this one's a real treat to just come over here and see this, because this is what all the temple buildings would have looked like, and now you see them just down to the base. Yeah, so this ordination hall is 14 meters by 26, and it's built like a Chinese junk that you see. And this would have been early Ayutthaya styling. And it has a Buddha image in here called Wat Samana Kottharam, and it's in the subduing Mara posture. And what's interesting is there's some pictures in here of when the French diplomats went to the court of King Louis XIV. And I'm not sure what the tie is with this temple and that. You can see inside here, they have put the plaster work on the inside of this ordination hall, and then you can see the cross beams and everything else. Yeah, this is really cool. I like seeing how they restored them. And you can see the columns here. So the bases that we looked at in that other one would have been just like this, and they would have supported the roof. You have that teak wood. Now, whenever Ayutthaya was abandoned and sacked by the Burmese, all these buildings burned, so the wooden, like these cross beams and everything would have burned. If they wouldn't have burned, they would have deteriorated and rotted and collapsed these down. And then the elements would have got in here, trees would have grown, and it would have knocked all these buildings down. And after a couple hundred years, there's not much left of them. And you can see here, so I see what it is. They're talking here that it's, the delegates were led by Kosa Pan, and I think those were there was two kids of one of the Ayutthaya kings, and they would have been part of that delegation. And here is his alias was Kosa Pan. I don't know if they were kids or just tied to Pet Racha, would have been the king, I believe, or King Narai. This is kind of interesting. So you can see what the building looked like before they restored it. So it's quite nice now. They had a crude tin roof put over the remaining walls, and now it looks quite a bit better, plus it's functional. And then here is the really large Buddha image. And you can see how his hands are. That's in the subduing Mara pose. And it has all the other little disciples, and kind of a cool sandstone Buddha here. Looks like what they've done is, this is an old head they've put on a new body. Huh, kind of interesting. And then another old head. You see they've stuck the gold leaf. And they have all their little relics and stuff like that. And then this is a new Buddha image with the Naga, and it's just sitting right here. So kind of interesting. You see where that gold is kind of cracked around its chin. And then check out this. This is a really old image, it looks like. The side of his head's kind of split off, and they just have it on a new little thing. And the ties have came over and left little gold coins. And then in the back corner over here, I've never noticed this before, but they have an old reclining Buddha kind of stuck over here in the corner. Ah, really cool. And there's all kinds of other little images and everything else around. Check out the size of these cross beams. Ah, they're quite large. Okay, so let's go look over here at the shrine for King Taksin, and that'll be the last thing we look at this temple. Yeah, I'm not sure what they're saying about the Buddha image. I can't read that, so if any of my Thai viewers know what that says, please tell me down below in a comment. And then we have a little shrine here for King Taksin, and then this is the old crystal wall, the old temple gate, and you would have came through it. This would have been like a little arch across the top, and then there would have been smaller arches over here on the sides. You can see a little bit of it is remaining here. I really like the walls when you see them in really fantastic shape. Probably the best one of the old walls is over at Wat Samana. So we have the little shrine right here, and then another little building over there. I think that building over there is for some of their ceremonies. I think they'll meet up and have like lunch and stuff like that whenever there's a funeral. But this is the important shrine here at this temple. And they have some nice murals talking about him. And then I'm not sure what this battle is. You can see they got the war elephant crashing through the walls. And then some of the other stuff. Yeah, Thaksin was like really important for the Thais, because after Ayutthaya fell to the Burmese, he fled the city because he was here involved in the defending of the city, but it was a hopeless cause, so he left, and then he ended up gathering up forces and came back in and freed the city, and then reunited Thailand after he drove the Burmese out from here. And he actually expanded the empire, and then he moved the capital over to Thonburi from here. And then he was later removed by King Rama I, and then the current dynasty is in charge now. But that's the whole temple here. We're not going to look at any of the modern buildings. There's some over there. We saw the old stuff, which is what we wanted to see anyway. Well, that'll finish up our video over here at this historic temple. There's a lot of little details about this temple. It's kind of just unknown even to most of the Thais. The locals will come over here for the ceremonies, but it's kind of overshadowed in this area by Wat Mayong and Wat Samana. There's some other really large and really nice ruins, but it's still a great place to come. I really like coming over here and seeing stuff like this. It's just kind of off the beaten path where, you know, tourists don't go. You know, probably a few people will stop by. You can see it from the road, and they'll stop by and take a picture, but they don't really know, you know, nobody knows a whole lot about it, you know, so if you dig a little deeper, you get to find out some of the cool details about this temple. And I really like the hall, the way that they've restored it, and then they use, you know, the old building, at least the foundation, and then they can still use it, and the Thais can still come over here and do their ceremonies and stuff like that. So hopefully you enjoyed this as much as I did. I really like this. I've been here like 2.5 years ago, and it was time to come over here and take another look at it. And I had a good time, and I'm really happy that I did today. So if you've enjoyed it, smash the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, and then you get to see other stuff that I do like this. You know, I show old temples, and I show beaches and markets and stuff like that. But I really have a passion for going and finding old stuff, and just walking around and learning a little bit. I don't know a whole lot, but I do my best. So, and I share what little bit of information I know. But if you do know more about it, you know, definitely tell me in a comment down below, and that way people that watch the video can learn also. So until next time, from over here in Ayutthaya, remember, life is a journey. So until next time, enjoy.